Hi there! Are you ready to explore the world of arts and visual arts? If yes, let me introduce you to my co-team members, Razel Calitorio, Yuvi Soliano, Raven Sabino, and me, Hanikay Salazar.
Art. When we hear that word, some of our minds jump to museums or framed paintings. And in that context, some people think, I'm not a big fan of art. I just don't get it. Or they think of art as something that's just for intellectuals or artsy people. But really, art is for anyone who wants to experience it, and it's often in more places than we might realize. Songs you like, movies you watch, poems, theater, even a quilt that your grandmother made. All of that and more is art. So you might be wondering, well, then what is art? How do I define it? Well, that's tough. Art's been around for thousands of years, and through the ages it's evolved in a number of different ways. Defining art is pretty tricky, and it's something that's been debated throughout history. There just isn't one agreed upon definition. However, many believe that art is anything that stirs emotion in you. The term arts is really just a label. Over the years, a lot of people have tried to classify what it is or what it isn't, but that's not really what art is about. It's about your personal experience with it and the meaning that you draw from it. Everyone reacts to art differently and has the potential to grow and learn from it. It gives us the opportunity to tell stories, record history, and tap into our emotions in a way that few other things can.
Good day everyone, I'm Raven Nicole G. Sabino and I'll be talking about the forms of visual arts in the Philippines. Pottery. So it is one of the oldest form of visual arts in the Philippines, dating back to the pre-colonial period. Pottery is made from clay mixed with water and shaped into various forms like jars, bowls, plates, and figurines. Pottery is often decorated with red slip, which is clay mixed with water and iron oxide to create designs and patterns. An example is Manunggul jar. This is one of the most famous example of pottery in the Philippines. This jar is a secondary burial jar excavated from a Neolithic burial site in Palawan. The jar has a distinctive design of two human figures on a boat, representing the journey of the soul to the afterlife. Another form of visual arts in the Philippines is weaving. It is practiced by various ethnic groups for centuries. Weaving is the process of creating fabric or cloth by interlacing threads or fibers. Weaving is done by hand using looms, which are devices that hold the threads or fibers in place. Weaving is also used to create textiles for clothing, accessories, bags, mats, blankets, and other items. Weaving also showcases the artistic skills and creativity of the weavers who use different colors, patterns, motifs, and symbols to express their identity and culture. And here are some of the well-known weaving traditions in the Philippines. First is the Peña cloth of the Aklan province, which is made from pineapple fibers. And then the Tinala cloth of the Tibuli people, which is dyed with natural colors and has geometric designs. And then lastly is the Ekat cloth of the Ifugao people, which is a tie-dye and has human and animal figures. So another form is carving. It involves cutting or shaping wood, stone, metal, ivory, or other materials into sculptures or ornaments. Carving is done by using tools such as knives, chisels, hammers, and drills. Carving is used to create religious icons, ancestral figures, masks, furniture, musical instruments, and other objects. Carving also reflects the beliefs, values, and aesthetics of the carvers and their communities. Here are some of the examples of carving in the Philippines. First is the Bolol statues of the Ifugao people, which are wooden figures that represent rice gods and ancestors. And the next is the Sari Manok of the Maranao people, which are colorful carvings of a mythical bird that symbolize good fortune and royalty. And lastly, Uker of the Muslim groups, which are intricate carvings of geometric and floral patterns that adorn their architecture and furniture. Another form is painting. So this emerged during the Spanish colonial period and developed further under the American and modern influences. Painting is the art of applying paint, pigment, or other mediums to a surface such as canvas, paper, or wall to create images or expressions. Painting is done by using brushes, palette, knives, fingers, or other tools. Painting is used to depict scenes, portraits, landscapes, abstracts, and other subjects. Painting also conveys the emotions, opinions, and perspectives of the painters and their audience. And here are some of the famous painters in the Philippines. First is Fernando Amorsolo, who is known as the Grand Old Man of Philippine art, and who painted realistic and romantic scenes of rural life. The next is Juan Luna, who is known as the first internationally recognized Filipino painter and who painted historical and allegorical works. And lastly is Benedicto Cabrera, who is known as the national artist of the Philippines, who painted abstract and expressionist works. So next form of visual arts in the Philippines is photography. This emerged on the late 19th century and became popular in the 20th and 21st centuries. Photography is the art of capturing images or light on a film or digital sensor using a camera or other device. Photography is done by adjusting the exposure, focus, aperture, shutter speed, and other settings of the camera or device. Photography is used to document events, people, places, and things. Photography also communicates the stories, messages, and visions of the photographers and their viewers. Some of the prominent photographers in the Philippines. First is Eduardo Masviri, who is known as the father of Philippine photography, who photographed the culture and tradition of the Cordillera people. And the next is Nick Joaquin, who is known as the national artist of the Philippines, who photographed the history of society of Manila. And lastly is Kidlat Tahimik, who is known as the father of Philippine independent cinema, who photographed the effects of globalization and colonialism on the Filipino identity. And last form of visual arts in the Philippines is sculpture. This involves creating three-dimensional forms or figures from various materials like clay, metal, stone, wood, or plastic. Sculpture is done by molding, casting, carving, welding, or assembling the materials. Sculpture is used to create statues, monuments, installations, and other artworks. Sculpture also expresses the ideas, concepts, and values of these sculptures and their society. And here are some of well-known sculptors in the Philippines. First is Guillermo Tolentino, who is known as the national artist of the Philippines. He sculpted the Bonifacio Monument and the Obligation. Next is Napoleon Abueva, who who is known as the father of modern Philippine sculpture, who sculpted the Sunburst and the Nine Muses. And lastly is Julie Loch, who is known as one of the leading female sculptors in the Philippines, who sculpted the Mother and Child and the Dalagang Bukid. And that will be all for my topic of forms of visual arts in the Philippines.
I'll be tackling about the timeless artworks in the Philippine visual arts. First, I have here PC Abit, outstanding Filipino ethnic weaving from the Tausug. This is a male square headgear with complex, multicolored geometric designs. PC Abit symbolizes the Tausug Gagandilans, martabat, and identity. Siabit is a fabric, knitted fabric, can be piece, headgear, or candit, sash. This continues to be woven in the towns of Holo-Solo, while the candit disappears throughout the time. The siabit shows the Philippines' ethnic tradition of textiles. Next is Damian Domingo. Damian Domingo is a great Filipino painter. Damian Domingo also painted Tipos del País, which were in the demand among the ilustrados and tourists. Damian Domingo is also the founder of Academia de Dibujo y Pintura en Tondo in the year 1821. The third is Childbirth, a dark oil piece that conveyed the terrors of the folk at the unseen world of the supernatural beings. Approach with the style of Expressionism, illuminated with dramatically lit figures. Next is Romeo Tabuena. Romeo Tabuena is the unseen artist which contrasting styles. Romeo Tabuena also admired for his darkly toned oil paintings, which seem to be reflect the proletarian concerns. Romeo Tabuena also uses often short figures with expressionist distortion, hence having no bright colors to relieve the charged atmospheres. Next one is Parol. We are really into it now, diba? Because Christmas na raba, padulo na Christmas. So, Parol is a Filipino Christmas lantern made from bamboo and colored paper. Parol also comes in a various shapes and sizes, diba? Kabante mo? But it is usually star-shaped to signify the star of Bethlehem. Parol also symbolizes hope and goodwill for all Filipinos. Francisco Estanislao, a local artisan, is believed to have made the first parol out of bamboo strips and Japanese paper. Parol remains the most recognizable Christmas symbol for Filipinos. Jeepney painting grew from the Kalesa tradition, the contemporary form of folk tradition in the decorative painting. Task is divided between the artisans who laid the ground of color, paintings, the pictures, and makes the designs. Leonardo Sarao, a manufacturer of Sarao jeepneys, once drove a Kalesa, adapting Kalesa painting of jeepneys. It reflects a resilient, innovative, and optimistic Filipino spirit, making jeepneys a cultural symbol. The importance of visual arts. Visual arts is a fundamental component of the human experience, reflecting the world at the time in which we live. Art can help us understand our history, our culture, our lives, and the experience of others in a manner that cannot be achieved throughout other means. It can also be source of inspiration, reflection, and joy.